Alright, hello and welcome to the Ultimate Mage Guide. I will be talking about every sort of tool, swap, Forsaken Power, all of that right up front. I'll be giving you just a quick little rundown, and then I will be doing deep gameplay analysis and showcase at the back end of the video. There will be chapters so that you can easily access and flip around to whatever you want. So, let's start off with number one thing. Your casting tools. So, Staff of Protection. You want it. Everybody's got to have it. It's an incredible defensive option that allows for a lot of different aggressive plays, solo, and especially in co-op. This thing allows for some nasty plays. Now let's check it. Bubbles up, costs some health, costs a decent amount of Iter as well, so be wary of that. And it keeps you very still when you cast it. So if you're debubbled, you're pretty vulnerable as a mage. You are going to be standing still with no bubble. That is dangerous. What you want to do is you want to bubble glide. Just makes for a very, very smooth and safe bubbling so that you can support yourself and your friends and maybe your hens. Yeah, it's really good. Let's check this out. Right now I have Blood Magic 51, so look at the damage absorption. 458. I don't know why it's 458 in particular, but that is a ton. That is a ton of damage absorption. That is basically a little bit more than 450 effective HP. However, the one fatal flaw of the bubble is that it also takes chop and pickaxe damage, so you have to watch out for enemies and moves that do that. So Seeker Soldier's double ground slam, that'll deal chop and pickaxe, so watch out for that. The Queen, she'll do chop and pickaxe damage. Watch out for her, be careful. Best to fight her in the mid-range anyway. And Seekers in general, they don't really do chop and pickaxe, but it's best to fight them in the mid-range. You don't want them flying all erratically at you, and they won't fly until you reach a certain distance away from them. So, what this means is, in order to get that really amazing effective HP, you have to be relatively careful in the first place and utilize your bubble to be aggressive when you want to be, because none of that damage that pops your bubble will go over and impact you. You will not take carryover damage from it, and you will be free to have your little panic moment, regroup, get your bubble back up, and get back into the action. And this happens many times, you know, nobody's perfect, but generally you really want to have at least a little bit of pocket Iter just to regain bubble and a little bit of stamina so that you can bubble glide on the fly. Now, with really high run and jump levels and some decent blood magic levels, the costs on each of these things to be safe and regain your bubble with a nice bubble glide is pretty damn minimal. So you can even do this really effectively if you have triple Iter food. Right now I have Iter stamina. This allows me to utilize a variety of swaps. But of course, the most important swap from Staff Protection is Staff of Embers. This thing is an absolute beast. Look at this total damage. 120 possible blunt, 126 possible fire. I mean, that is viciously strong. Seekers, they resist blunt, they don't resist fire. Still though, at these levels, even like around Elemental Magic 50, 2 fireballs will stagger, and then the DOT will kill regular Seekers, making them just viciously easy to take out. I mean, it's just absurd with the Staff of Embers. This thing has range, it has speed, it has staggering, and it has AoE. That is monster good. Like, all of these properties onto one thing with great elemental damage. Oh man, that damage. Absurd damage. Even if it has no backstab modifier. Huh, interesting. So you can't sneak attack with it. I'll keep an eye on that later. Yeah, still amazing damage. Immense damage. This thing will melt Seeker Soldiers. It'll melt the Queen herself. It'll take care of eggs and broods in dungeons. It'll take care of mobs behind barriers in the dungeons. Oh, it is really obscenely powerful. I mean, this is clear and obvious S tier right now. And I don't think the potential will be too diminished by the Ashlands, as weird as that sounds. Now, next casting tool, underrated Staff of Frost. This thing is relatively niche. However, when it excels, oh boy does it excel. Number one, check it out. It has a interesting cone, which people won't really dig. Long range, look at that. Look at the spray. People don't really like that too much, but again, what I mentioned before, Seekers are best fought in the mid-range so that you can capitalize on their wriggly moveset and AI instead of having them fly all around all chaotic in the air, leaving them to double slam you from above. That is no good. And now what does this excel at? Mid-range. Oh yes, this is a mid-range crowd control tool. That's a really good swap when you have low Eider. You have low Eider, you take out a little blast, swap to your Him and Awful, which is a great swap to get your pokes, get your spin to wins, dominate and control the battlefield, or Mistwalker to keep the frost up. You don't even need a shield, you probably won't even need it. Seekers can be flanked from the side, they can be jumped over, and you can dominate them because the Mistwalker has no multi-attack damage penalty. It cleaves through all these targets. Oh yes, this is a beast, and by the time you're done with all of your beastly action, destroying targets in melee range, you'll have all sorts of Eider back to swap to. Specifically, you're back to your Embers. Oh yes. Now Staff of Frost specifically, because it is frost, slows the targets down real nice, but also there are areas where targets will be wet. Oh yes, semi-aquatic Mistlands. And what does that mean? That means 1.5 times frost damage, and with a swift attacking damage with all this DPS potential, potential is multiplied by 1.5 times and then exponentially increases when you are repeat shotting a target. Specifically really good against Seeker Soldiers and wet Seeker Soldiers, as you can get that weak spot hit. Y'all weak spot does not carry over with magic. I want to say that again. Y'all weak spot does not work with magic. It is specifically only with pierce damage. Y'all weak spot is a 2 times weakness to pierce. Seeker Soldier weak spot is anything and everything. So if you get a wet Seeker Soldier, stay in the mid range, bait out the double swing, and then just absolutely lay blast into its weak spot for incredible DPS. Of course, if it's just wet, you don't even have to wait around. You can just keep demolishing it from the front. And it is vicious. Of course, Infested Mines, you have those pits with mist in them. There's also water down there. Seekers will have the dripping effect. What does that mean? It means they're wet. And you can go in and get that amazing shredding damage with that beautiful wet modifier on Frost. I mean, this thing is just nice in those situations. I'm expecting it to be even better in the Ashlands, of course. Now, this thing is really interesting in co-op too, because what you can do is, of course, paired with Feather Cape, operate in the mid-range so that you can jump over a big group, blast them, and then throw down a Bile Bomb. And then all the creatures are slowed and in the Bile Bomb, and you can just keep laying down the frost, controlling them so that they're stuck in that radius. You can even use Abyssal Harpoon to drag enemies and keep them in the Bile Bomb radius to get efficient kills so that you don't have to spend as much Eider as you want. Now, I've been talking a little bit about swaps here and there, but really I want to talk about Infested Mine pocket options, and also versus the Queen. We have here, I've mentioned a couple times, Abyssal Harpoon. We have Bile Bombs, Ooze Bombs. These are your main things. Now, your main swaps overall, Spine Snap as a bow. You're not going to need much stamina efficiency if you have high bow levels, which, of course, you should be leveling throughout the entire rest of the game other than Mistlands. So your DPS should be incredible. I once thought that Huntsman Bow would be good because it's stamina efficient. Turns out you don't need it. You can just absolutely dominate with Spine Snap Frost Arrows. Arbalest. Arbalest is just an amazing opener on targets. It works even when you're like low stam, low Eider, just crushes enemies with a beautiful burst damage. This is going to be your big backstab modifier opener on a lot of targets if you're from deep range. And then, because, remember, Staff of Embers has no backstab modifier and Staff of Frost doesn't either, you can very easily then swap to Staff of Embers and get your demolition in then before you swap back to whatever it may be. If the target's in melee range, it could be him and Awful or Mistwalker. If they're still ranged, it could be Spine Snap to use up that stamina, and then back over to Staff of Embers when you have Eider back. The rotation options are really strong, and you want to make good use of your swaps and your stamina. This is why in the overworld I recommend Seeker Aspic, Stuffed Mushroom, and Mushroom Omelet. When you are in a tough encounter, Fish and Bread, of course, is technically optimal, but Mushroom Omelet will carry you the majority of the way. Of course, when you are also in a tough encounter, Yggdrasil Porridge is going to be better than your Stuffed Mushroom, but on the overworld, Stuffed Mushroom is going to be just fine. Now, this will allow you plenty of Eider and stamina so that you can do all of your rotation options. Now, of course, because you want your bubble Eider in pocket, you really want more Eider than stamina. So double Eider, 1 stamina, really good for that situation. In the mines, I would recommend you totally go triple Eider. Now that Royal Jelly respawns in the mines after about like 4 hours in game or so, you can just re-go into your mines, clear up the Seekers, get your Royal Jelly, and make your Yggdrasil Porridge without even having to worry about it. So in the mines, oh yes. Now, your pocket options for the mines, of course, Ooze Bombs, Bile Bombs, these will go through the barriers and inflict DOT. Fire DOT will stack, Poison does not. Of course, Fire DOT stacking is perfect for your Staff of Embers. That is just an amazing swap. I mentioned before, Bile Bomb DOT plus Frost Control, really strong to keep enemies controlled and stuck in the AoE. That is just so nice for dominating the battlefield, especially in co-op. Through barriers, oh yes, Staff of Embers is going to crush it. Now, to aggro certain enemies so that you can make use of the AoE, because it's less than Demolisher or Sledge AoE, you want to use the Abyssal Harpoon, yes. This thing, and generally Spear, middle mouse, aggro radius is really high. I mean, the next just got aggroed all the way from out there, and the Abyssal Harpoon just returned to my hand. So it's just an easy swap to get on demolishing your targets with efficiency. So if all the Seekers and Ticks are crowded towards an old Dvergr door, or Dvergr gate that's invincible, what you can do is just toss an Abyssal Harpoon, swap over to Embers, and blast the gate. And you will destroy targets with efficiency, and there won't be any leftover, or as nearly as much leftover critters. So when you finally open that door, they will all be totally cheesed, and you will have a safe mine experience. Now, you're in the mines, you don't move as much, triple Eider food, Dead Razor it up. Oh, Dead Razor, you tricky item. I thought this was going to be very good, and it's very situational. This thing, very jank with its AI. Extremely janky. These guys are really slow. The archers have really high aggro radius on their shots. I mean, look at them. They're so slow to catch up. Why are they so slow? It's ridiculous. But they are really good in the infested mines because they are your basement inspectors. Notice a hole when you walk into an infested mine. You don't know what's down there. It might be a death trap waiting for you. But it can be perfectly fine to just push these guys right down that hole. And now, these bubbled boys are your inspector generals for your infested mines. When you have wet pits, shove them down right into it. Let them take the aggro, demolish them with Staff of Embers from above, or Staff of Frost from down below. Oh yes, this thing can take aggro. What's especially good is during the Queen fight. Oh yes, when the Queen fucks off, when you're using range strategies, oftentimes it's really annoying to regain her aggro. You are spending health, Eider, stamina, whatever resource to go try to regain her aggro. No. That's going to put yourself in a bad situation. What you want to do is say, okay, you're back there. That's fine. I'm going to summon up my skeletons, bubble them, perfectly fine with you being wherever, and then I'm going to pull out the Abyssal Harpoon, and from the top, I'm just going to ping various areas, and I'm going to regain your aggro like that. now that I have bubbled boys to take my aggro. And it is dominating. The queen, she will pop one of these things, and then she won't even be able to solo, at least take out these guys in one hit, which means you have plenty of opportunity to launch fireballs or launch frost arrows with Spine Snap. Oh yes, that damage is absurd from range. Amazing ranged combo. That pretty much covers all of it. Yep, that's everything there. And Arbalest, really good swap. Yep, I got everything. Even though the inventory seems pretty cramped, all you really need is space for carrying certain things, and you can make multiple trips in and out of the infested mines. You will only need enough inventory in the overworld to carry a pocket portal and a couple other things, because then you can set up the portal and continue on your merry way using multiple trips to gather up many things. Of course, having all of this inventory space would be really good if it was open and free to use, but also having all of this space taken up by gear that will help me kick more ass and stay alive with my high skills, that's even better. So, priorities, people, priorities. Staying alive, better priority. Ha 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 ha, BGs, you know? Potions. Look at these potions. Lingering Stam, not bad. Keep yourself high stamina. You're not really going to be popping, stamina potions, because you're going to be rotating back and forth with Eider and stamina, so you want that regen. Minor Eider Mead. This is actually really good for aggressive plays. You pop this and you just keep spamming Fireball, and just know that at the end you will remain with just enough to keep your bubble on, so you will be safe. Oh yes, Minor Eider Mead is really good for aggressive Fireball spam. Tasty Mead, not bad. Really situational on Mage. Stacks with Lingering Stamina and Rested to provide an absurd stamina regain just on the fly. Not bad. Extremely situational. It's worth carrying like one or two, but otherwise it's much better used on a non-magical character. And then finally, healing. Major healings are technically optimal, but look at how much HP I have. It's really not that much, and you can even use minor healings to make good use of just the low HP that you would have, like Dead Razor. Just use a minor healing, you will regain all of that HP, and then it'll probably not be any less than 2 minutes to cooldown for health potions before you get back into somewhat of a dangerous situation if you have Dead Razor out. So because of that, it's perfectly fine to proactively pop a minor healing potion in the dungeons and just top yourself off just for safety, or reusing bubbles or what have you. You know, you can take one hit and then like use a potion or rebubble. Perfectly fine. Now, last thing I want to talk about is armor options. Full Eider Weave is really good when you don't really want to move that much. Of course, people downplay the effectiveness of Full Eider. I don't know what the actual percentages or whatever, but it stacks with Rested, and it regains you to your casting sooner. Simple enough. It's already good in that case. Even if it regains a couple seconds faster, a couple seconds is amazing speed when you're in the heat of combat. And getting to those points when you can recast Bubble, or if you have spare Bubble Eider and then a little bit more to double blast with Staff of Embers, or even if you regain a little bit to get your Staff of Frost control and then swap over to melee, you are controlling the battlefield, and you will get all of that regen back once the encounter is done. So when you're moving that much, or not that much, Full Eider, when you're moving probably a little bit more, you can swap Eider Weave Hood to Fenris Hood. This will take you only a 20% dip for 3% more movement speed. Very nice. So I use this on the overworld. I use this all the time. What you can also do is, if you are at lower levels on the overworld, you can swap the Eiderweave robe or the trousers for Fenris coat or Fenris leggings. I have Fenris coat here because just in case by some freak incident we get a cape that somehow rivals the feather cape and we have no frost res on that, then I have frost res on my Fenris coat. I can pop that out whenever I want. These resistances won't apply when you have the bubble on, the bubble will cover over your body layer. So no root harness, no raw armor will help you. You want secondary benefits that will help you kick enemies' ass. So either regen, movement speed, something in the future, all of these things are very good for demolishing your encounters, whether that be in the overworld or the dungeons. Now, this is your armor set up very, very nicely, like that. Now, everything covered here, I want to get back into the base, and I want to show you some gameplay. Oh yes, it is time for some proof. Oh yes, here we go. So here's a Dead Razor showcase, but this is really just me utilizing triple Eiderfood plus Staff of Embers at decent elemental magic levels. I have the Queen already beat here, but I don't use the Forsaken Power. Forsaken Powers, by the way, Eikthyr. Bone Mass is your body layer. That's going to be covered by your bubble, so it's not going to be that useful. Eikthyr will help you kick ass a little bit better, and you'll maneuver and be safe, and it's also really good while exploring. It's just the ultimate mage thing, except when you get to the Queen. Once you beat the Queen power, that Eider regen is just phenomenal. Let's check out what I use now. So in the dungeons, these staves, they will get more aggro. They have 20% glow. Dead Razor only has 10% glow. Staff Protection doesn't have any glow. And yeah, I just break the barrier. I'm assuming that my skeletons are going to go in, and they don't. The right thing to do is summon the skeletons beyond the entranceway. But check this. Staff of Embers Domination. Oh yes. Very casual. I know I'm being cocky, but that's because I have the bubble. I have that absurd barrier of protection. I can just chill out and I'm fine. Look at all these Seekers and Ticks and things. Boom! I'm just comfortable using my stamina in the mid-range. I keep these guys just close enough to where they don't really fly out at me. Of course, unless they are new Seekers, but even then, I'm very comfortable backing off, just destroying all of these guys. Look at that domination, and these Dead Razors. These Skeletons would have been a lot more useful if I summoned them in the right spot. So yeah, that is just incredible Staff of Embers demolition and dominance. Let's see. More Seekers. 2 hits there. Boom, destroyed. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Ticks. AoE takes him out no problem. It's just so good. Now I resummon the Skeletons in here. The old Skeletons will be replaced. That's fine. Getting to these levels with Elemental and Blood Magic. Blood Magic is the Thread Menace method, link in description. Elemental Magic is really good. Tamed Locks, I know that's evil. I'm going to tell you something super secret. What you can do is you can summon your own Skeletons with Friendly Fire on in the comfort of your own house with Rested. That will boost your Eider regen. You want to do full Eider Weave, Staff of Frost, spam it on your Dead Razors. Repeat the process over and over again. You will get elemental magic fast. Now, you didn't hear it from me because the old method was Golem Hole, and the devs patched that out. They didn't want you grinding like that, and they probably don't want you grinding like this. So you didn't hear this from me. Keep it on the down low because I'm afraid they might patch that. I mean, I'm just going to use Tamed Locks if they patch that, so that's fine. But that's just an extra step of pain in the assery. So I really love using Dead Razors for that, just grinding up elemental magic levels. It's so convenient. It's just a beast. Having Mage at high skill levels now is just incredibly dominant, and I find it a lot of fun. So having this access to these levels of fun and meeting these unique thresholds where it's only possible to dominate Seekers at this point. So it's only at a certain level. I don't know what level, but it's only at a certain level when you can really start 1-2 tapping Seekers with Staff of Embers, staggering, and then the DOT killing them. And it's really good to get that level when you grind, you know? You reach that point sooner, and you are just a happy camper. Now I want to speed up. I want to get to more dominant point. Yeah, check this. Abyssal Harpoon. I'm trying to aggro dudes behind the door so that I can group them up here and then blast them with Staff of Embers. I got one. I want to try it again. Boom. Aha. We have a Seeker here. We got Seekers. Just demolished. Staggered DOT destruction. What are my skeletons doing? Man, these skeletons are so bad. But hey, they go in. And now that they're in, I want to show you this. Seeker Soldier with Skeletons and Staff of Frost. So I use Mistwalker here. Just, you see the pickaxe damage gets rid of the bubble. And look at that. Look at the DPS on that. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so nasty. Whew, that's just amazing. I want to show you something interesting here. This is, there's going to be the Seeker Soldier camping the staircase. Around here. Oh no, that's another video. I'm losing track of my own videos, but yeah, I'm trying to level up blood magic here. No, don't do that. Let's go to this next video here. This is a Y'all showcase. So I have the Arbalest swap to Staff of Embers, swap back to Spine Snap. I have Huntsman Bow. This was when I was doing my weird Huntsman Bow theory as a mage. You don't need this stamina efficiency, even with one stamina food. Huntsman Bow DPS with all of these swaps it's just not as good as Spine Snap. Check it out. Y'all Carapace shot, weak spot on the Y'all. If I had higher crossbow levels than 13, probably would have one shot. Now here's my noob self, not realizing the arc. I don't have that muscle memory at this point. Even then, I launched some frost arrows at this point. The Y'all's already dead. Yeah, so really quick, even for noob levels and noob experience, it's just dominance. Like these magical to non-magical swaps like that, so powerful. Let's cut ahead. 1-star Seeker Soldier. I'm super excited. I get to test out all of my Battle Mage strats. Staff of Frost especially is going to be clutch. I'm staying in the mid-range. Look at this DPS. Elemental Magic 16. Could you imagine if I hit him with the 81 that I have now? Oh, it's just disgusting. I tried to get the him and awful middle mouse on his weak spot. Something about the verticality in Mistlands with Seeker Soldier weak spots, which just make him a pain in the ass for him and awful. Not really a pain in the ass for Mistwalker, but yeah, look at the staggers. I get some pokes in. It's just so nice. Don't do what I do here. I don't rebubble for a long time here. I also have fire arrows in my inventory. Fire arrows are just, even with the damage, the DOT stacking, it's just not as worth it. Just not as much damage and utility as frost arrows, and at which point you can take them out of the inventory. Your Spine Snap will automatically select whatever arrow you're using in your inventory, especially if it's the only one. It'll just automatically use frost arrows. Even if you've been using Arbalest and your ammo is like, hey, I'm clicked on Carapace bolts, it will still say, nope, I'm going to auto-select from your frost arrows. And then if you switch to Arbalest, it'll say, nope, I'm going to auto-select from your Carapace bolts. So you don't need those ammunitions in your inventory. And then Arbalest as well, you don't really need that in your, not in your inventory, in your hotbar. You don't really need it in your hotbar because it's not going to be a really terribly hot situation when you pull those out. Okay, beautiful there. Don't mind that. Dead Razor, again, this is me popping off with it. Bad summon spot. But check this. Check this. Come on. They're so janky. I hate how janky they are. So I push them down here, and immediately they start aggroing things, and that is just perfect for me. I get to basically have total security and then just blast everything from this hole. So check this. Demolition. Dominance. Brutal. It is so brutally effective, even if they're just coming in trying to attack. It's okay. I have the vantage point, and I can just drop in and look at the archer destroy that tick there. Yeah, it's just so nice. I have open areas, don't care. Staff of Embers, Skeletons take an aggro, they take the point. They are perfectly comfortable. Now check this. 1-star soldier, regular soldier. I'm triple iron fruited up. I've got 2 skeletons. I'm like, okay, this is kind of scary. I have elemental magic like 50 or so at this point. Look at the damage. Raw damage. AoE. I'm like, I'm gonna pop this Eider potion and be super aggressive. Soldier's already at half HP. I'm like, oh no! Soldier, no! You know, I don't want to fight him in melee range as a mage. That is nasty. So I kite him in here. Rebubble, because that's running low. And what kills soldiers? Staff of Frost. So I want to save a lot of Eider for DOT on the weak spot. I'm trying to bait out the double slam. There it is. Look at the damage. Look at the DPS. Shredded. Beautiful. That's so good. So strong. See, let's cut ahead to now staircase. Beautiful spot. I'm trying to aggro dudes with the Abyssal Harpoon. It works. My skeletons go down on the staircase. Now the staircase isn't a death trap for me. And I can Staff of Embers safely from above. As I see the skeletons go deeper and deeper, I can rebubble them if I choose, or just go off the side. Now that I've Staff of Embers and broken the edges of the staircase, I can just pop off and glide down and demolish anything that's down here. Oh yeah, just crisp and clean, totally safe. Basement Inspector Generals that are the Dead Razors in these situations, the skeletons. Man, does that make things smooth in dungeons. And it'll probably be really smooth too when we go on to future biomes where we have overworld terrain that suits them better. Mistlands overworld terrain does not really suit the skeletons that well right now. So yeah, they're mainly just dungeons and a queen thing. When we have instance areas that are really just flat, relatively flat, and they don't get stuck on stuff. I mean, even in the mines it's particular because they get stuck on a million different things and they're so slow. But hey, when they excel, they are so strong. So hang on. I want to show you this. Wet pit. Here's the wet pit. I'm trying to get my skeletons over here. Skeletons? Oh, my skeletons are already down there. Oh, stop. Hang on. Check this. So, I have this here. I'm breaking the sides with Staff of Embers. Staff of Embers impact has no aggro radius, but the glow itself increases your vision and visibility while sneaking. So I push them down. They take aggro. I'm blasting from above. Not as good as going down there and Staff of Frosting them, but it is much safer than Staff of Frosting them. So you have your options. If you want to be super swift and aggressive, Staff of Frost. If you want to be safe and impacting and be death from above, Staff of Embers. Oh yeah, just so good. Alright, now I want to show you the Queen Dominance. Check this. This is a Queen resummon. I've got my Lingering Stam. I've got Dead Razor, Abyssal Harpoon. I've got my Eider Stamina, totally optimal setup there with Fish and Bread and Yggdrasil Porridge.
Immediately Seekers. Oh. So annoying.
Oh, hello, myself. Let's mute me. Yeah, this is just a ridiculous showing. This is elemental magic like 50 something. Activate Ichthyr. Yeah, look at the aggro that my skeletons have. Just make things smooth. The big mistake that I do is not using Bile Bombs earlier. Bile Bombs should really go in the hotbar over Staff of Frost here. And using Bile Bombs on the Brood Spew and hopefully getting Seeker adds in the AoE as well, it will just save you a ton of stamina and Eider. So normally you would either Demolisher or on a mage, you would send out a fireball to crush the little brood spew. You don't have to do that. Just send a bile bomb and it'll cover it, and it'll also deal DOT to the queen, most of which is fire, and it will stack with your Embers DOT, which is just vicious. I mean, check this damage. Like, already it's good. The skeletons are taking aggro. That one gets hit, killed. The other one gets hit, killed. But they have tanked 3 hits from the queen right now, allowing me to just pop off with damage. Now I want to pop a little bit ahead, show you, look at this time. I killed the queen in less than 8 minutes on this mage build solo. Not even close to 100 on either skill. I would think it was like blood magic like 26 or something. It's like ridiculous. Like if I wanted to be super extra on a queen resummon fight, I would just bring the butcher's knife and keep killing my skeletons until I got archers, because the archers the archer will notice the queen pop up before you do and just be like, hey, queen's over there, or hey, seeker's over there behind you, and you'll just keep track of the archers from there. It's like, oh, okay, my archer just jerked its neck over to the side. There's something over to the side. And it's just this really smooth way. Look at the bile bomb kill. It's just a really smooth way to dominate all of your encounters like that, especially with the queen. Now look at this video here. This is something that I just have members only right now. I want to show you a little bit of this because it's important for the future. So right now, stabs, they have 0 aggro radius on hit. So what that means is you are able to demolish targets from range, from deep range, without them really noticing, like any of the enemies from the sides noticing you. Like it is absurd. Check this. I got a fulling camp, launched, I hit the berserker. Where are the crowds? Where are the crowds? None of the fullings are charging me. There are locks in the area. You'd think this meteor would be super loud. Check this. I hit the fullings. They're coming after me. Only the ones that I hit are coming after me. We can use this knowledge of the aggro radius to use for theory in the future. So Ashlands, we're getting into Ashlands spoiler territory. If you don't want to be spoiled, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this long mage guide. Ashlands, Fortress Time, probably have big groups of enemies there that you can see from deep because it's not really misty. Even if it was maybe sometimes foggy, we still have this utility of no aggro radius. It's just the hit radius. Whatever gets hit will notice you. But nobody else will come visit. And what this means is you can really easily isolate and take down groups of enemies with Staff of Embers. And even if the enemies are totally immune to fire and they're totally immune to blunt, this still remains as a really good isolating utility option from deep range. This is just an amazing option. You can swap out to Staff of Frost when the enemies enter the mid-range. Of course, you'd probably be, in the meantime, swapping over to Arbalest or Spine Snap if they dealt no damage, like with Staff of Embers. But I'm highly doubtful that it'll deal no damage, because there's usually one enemy that's going to take Frost, or like in the mountains, wolves take Frost. You know, not everything is immune to the element of the biome. So it will still have some full utility and damage. However, the blunt damage. This thing is almost half blunt damage. It's effectively half blunt. I don't think a lot of these creatures in the Ashlands are going to be totally immune or resistant to blunt. I think the Staff of Embers will be sometimes fully effective, sometimes 3/4 effective, sometimes half effective, but never not effective. It will never not be somewhat effective damage-wise. Utility, even if the creatures are immune, like I said, it's still going to have that utility of isolating targets from deep range. But I'm thinking Bone Maw Serpent. When we first go into the Ashlands, let's say this thing is resistant to Pierce. What are we going to use to open up the encounter? What are we going to use to destroy these serpents from the get-go? Let's say it's resistant or immune to frost. Resistant or immune to fire. Well, we have ranged blunt. And maybe even if it's resistant to pierce, in addition to all of those, we have 120 fast, launchable, AoE, Eider bombs. Basically just boom, 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 boom. Look at that. Brutal damage. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to dominate these Bone Maw Serpents at first with Staff of Embers. Maybe melee options depending on the world generation, if it remains like a super archipelago with shallow land masses. Not shallow land masses, like low land masses. Then maybe you could be able to melee the Bone Maw Serpent. I have no idea. But it seems right now, Staff of Embers might be pretty good there. Staff of Embers, with its knockback on lower like weight creatures, or however the knockback system like truly works. You see how it kind of blasts the fullings here and there? We can be able to use that on Ashlands targets, then it might be super good for moving Ashlands targets back into mid-range, deep range, knock them off cliffs, repeatedly smack them with whatever ranged methods. Spine Snap, Frost Arrows, Staff of Embers, Staff of Frost, Arbalest from range. It might be just a really good way to keep enemies back with its knockback. Of course, Sledge is also there, so non-magical characters rejoice. But yeah, I think the Staff of Embers is still going to be pretty good in the Ashlands. I think Staff of Frost is going to be pretty good in the Ashlands. Dead Razor is probably going to be good in the Ashlands. Staff of Protection is, of course, it's going to be good in the Ashlands. Of course, it's going to be amazing in the Ashlands. This thing is just so good. Top tier, rebubble up. My God, that's amazing. All right, that's it. That's everything. Thank you so much, so much for watching. If you think I missed anything, I think I covered everything. But if you think I missed something, please let me know. I'll like it, and I'll try to keep a pinned comment if I missed anything. Yeah, mages are so strong right now. Oh, it's incredible. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys some other time. Bye.